Hey, I'm Amber from Biceps After Babies, and I'm going to teach you how to perform the bench. So the bench is a great movement for the upper body. Of course, we're working the chest, but it's a compound lift, so we're recruiting a lot of muscles, upper body muscles, to be able to do the bench. So with the bench, you're going to want to either have a spotter anytime that you are benching, or you're going to be wanting benching inside of a cage. So for example, here, I'm inside of a cage, so I have these safety bars. So if I couldn't perform a rep, I can always set the bar down on the safety bars. Bench isn't a dangerous movement if you always have a spotter or always bench in a cage. It only becomes dangerous when you try to do things like bench by yourself and do maximal lifts and can get into trouble with the bar trapping you. But if you always have a spotter or bench in a cage, you're never gonna have any problems. Couple of points of performance when it comes to the bench. We're gonna lay down on the bench, and I'm gonna show you that in just a minute. Where you place your hands is probably one of the most important first things that you're gonna have to decide with the bench. And it's gonna take a little bit of playing around. I really suggest doing it with like an empty bar, figuring out how wide your hands should go. It's gonna be a little different for everybody, but here's what you're looking for. You're looking that when you come down to the bottom of the movement, meaning you bring that bar to your chest, you want your wrist to be right above your elbow. So mess around, you can use some video, use somebody else's eyes, but what you want is at the bottom of that movement, that wrist is directly above the elbow. If your hand grip is too wide, your wrist will be outside of your elbow. If your hand grip is too narrow, your wrist will be inside of your elbow, and you'll know that you need to take that grip out a little bit. So establish where a good grip is for you so that the bottom of the movement, it is a direct straight line between your elbow and your wrist. Next thing, when you go to grab the bar, we're not grabbing the bar just like you would grab a normal bar. We're wanting to get into a really tight position and engage those lats. So I highly suggest focusing on setting the bar over the palm of the hand so that it goes over the very midpoint of your palm. So instead of it running across your palm, like we would normally do if we grab a bar, think about it running diagonal on your palm. What this is gonna do is make the point of contact in the middle of your palm, which is the very strongest portion. It's the strongest portion because it's a straight line to my elbow and to my shoulder, which means I'm gonna be able to push very effectively from that position. Once we grab the bar, then we're going to unrack it and have the bar over our chest. So the bar always starts over the chest. We're gonna bring the bar down to the chest and push it up. Now, what you'll see as I get under the bar is that the bench is unlike many of the other movements. With many of the other movements, we're focusing on a straight line down on the squat, a straight line up, a straight line up on the deadlift, straight line down. It's all about straight lines. With the bench, because of the anatomy of the shoulder, it's a little bit different. So notice as I get down and start benching that the bar will start directly above my shoulders, but when I come down, it comes down to, about my mid chest, about like a nipple line, which is obviously below my shoulder. So in order to get it back to my shoulder, there is going to be it's an angle that I have to push it back. So it is not a straight line down and back. It is over the shoulders to over the nipples to back over the shoulders. There's a little bit of an angle, and you'll see it more when I get under the bar and guide it back. So let's get into position. Let's show you this in real time. As I am laying down on the bench, one of the most important things to set yourself up for success is to get a tight upper back. We do not bench like this. This is not an effective position to bench from. We want to get our upper back nice and tight and drive that upper back into the bench. So as I'm coming to the bench, I am thinking about pulling my shoulder blades back and down and driving them into the bench. It tightens my upper back, it tightens my lats, it gets everything nice and tight. Everything in lifting weights is about transference of energy, and the more tight I am, the better I'm going to be able to transfer that energy. I know where my hands go. You'll have to find where your hands go for your grip, but we place the hands on the bar Right now, my eyes are right under the bar. So when you stare up, when you're setting up your bench, your eyes should be right under the bar, and this is after you rolled the bar forward so it's at the front of the J hooks. Shoulder blades pinch back. We first unrack the bar. Now I'm over my shoulders. My feet are planted on the ground. My butt is on the bench. I come down, bringing that bar to my nipple line, and then a slight push back as I end up over the shoulders. Elbows are tucked in. I'm not flaring those elbows out. Chest, shoulders. Chest, shoulders. When I am thinking about my bench, some of the things that I'm thinking about is pulling those elbows in. Again, as you're at the bottom of the movement, the last thing you want is for those elbows to flare out as you push up. So thinking about tightening through the lats, pulling that bar down, and then having a really strong position to push up from with your bench. So we'll show it to you again. As I'm getting into that bar, I roll the bar forward to the front of the J hooks. Come down, find my position. The bar is over the middle of my palm. I'm tight in my upper back. My butt is on the bench. Feet are on the ground. I lift, unrack the bar over my shoulders. Elbows come down. Bar comes to the middle of the chest, and I push back up. And drive. When I'm done, I bring the bar all the way to the back of the standard and then let the bar down. And that is how you bench.